perception check. I teach this in pretty much every communication class I have, because I have found for me, it's been probably one of the most powerful communication tools that I can use. Because just like you, or maybe you're more generous than I am, I have a tendency to see someone's behavior and attribute motive to it immediately. And 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to give you benefit of the doubt. You did that to make me look bad. You did that to humiliate me. You did that to embarrass me, whatever it might be. And a perception check is basically something that you would use because you realize that, yes, you may be right, but you could also just as likely be wrong and have completely misread the situation. Because perceptions are very much individual. I mean, if I asked you guys what color the walls are in this room, what color would you say? I know it's a dumb question because you're like, well,
eggshell.
Hmm?
Eggshell.
Okay, how many of you say eggshell? Okay, how many? So we got 2 eggshellers, 3 eggshellers. What about white? Okay. What about off-white? Okay, who's right? I am, because I think it's eggshell. So, I mean, perceptions, right? I mean, you work in the world of, of legal issues. There are different perceptions that people have. They can experience the same thing and have very different perceptions. So a perception check works like this. Usually, I'm not going to perception check over the color of a wall, but more than likely, it's going to be somebody's behavior. Somebody's done something, and I'm like, I think that might mean something. I want to find out what it means. So I describe the behavior. Ideally, you would offer 2 possible interpretations. You don't want to say, you did this, and I know what you meant. Because even if you're right, most people aren't going to fess up to it. So I usually try to offer 2 interpretations. And if it's a pattern of behavior, like the person's done it a few times and I'm starting to realize that this is not accidental, I might be very honest in what I really think is going on, but I will still try to give them an out. And then I basically just ask them for clarification. So, for example, one time, it was funny that we mentioned, or I brought it up, I guess, the eye-rolling issue. But I had a person who worked for me one time who, it was pretty obvious, at least in my opinion, that from the time I got there, she really didn't like me very much. And she definitely could not handle my sense of humor. She took it as just very bothersome to her, or like I was challenging her, or whatever the case may be. So we were having probably a 3rd or 4th meeting about some schedule changes. And yes, we were all sick and tired of the schedule on this project changing. So as I got up and began to say, okay, here we are, it's going to be change number 7. I got the, and thrown back in the chair, arms crossed, whole thing. And for the longest time, I kind of ignored that. But what ended up happening is, if I ignored it, she would just do it again because she wanted the attention from it. If she wasn't going to get it from me, she wanted it from the people around who were like, yeah, you're right, I'm sick of this too. She wanted some type of response. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to try this perception check thing and see if it works. So I said, Denise, I noticed when I was talking about the schedule change that you sat back in your chair and you let out a heavy sigh and you rolled your eyes. And, I understand that we're all sick and tired of the schedule changes and maybe that's what's up. But if there's something else that's going on, I really want to know what the problem is. What's going on? Yes?
Last night I watched The Big Bang Theory.
Uh-huh.
And Sheldon suggested a method. I just wanted to get your opinion.
Okay. I'm not sure I can advocate any communication technique that Sheldon might have taught you.
What he did is he would give the person a piece of candy that would make them think that they're doing the right thing. And if they weren't, then he would spray them with water.
I think it works great for dog training. And I've seen, that's one of my favorite shows, and I've seen that episode where he was, basically trying to reinforce the behavior that he wanted to see by giving the person a piece of candy. You can try that. I don't know that would work in the adult real business world. You have to have like a holster for that squirt bottle.
He said it's okay to try.
No, I did not say that. On videotape, I can tell you right now, I did not say that it was okay to do that. Now, if you want to try that with your family members at home, you can, not here in this organization. Yeah. So, what do you think the response was when I did that perception check with my friend Denise in the back of the room there?
Was she shocked?
She was surprised because I don't think anybody had ever called her on it before.
She didn't know how to respond.
that down.
No, she actually sat up and sat forward and was like, yes, as a matter of fact, I am. I'm sick and tired of all these. And it just kind of like, it all came out. But what I found is, having done that once, a lot of times people say, well, I can't believe you called her out in front of everybody. I didn't call her out in front of everybody. She called herself out in front of everybody. And I had actually tried calling her aside, waiting till after before, and then I was getting, no, I don't know what you're talking about, there's something in my eye. But until I kind of pushed her to open up in the open, I mean, that was not a quiet sigh. It was a big, heavy sigh, a flop back in the chair, bang against the wall. I mean, it was very obvious to everybody in the room that she was doing it again. People complained about it, but nobody ever did anything about it. But that was the first time I ever got her to sit up and actually say what the problem was. And what happened, and when somebody does that, you say, you know what? Thank you so much for letting me know. I totally get how frustrating this is. And, maybe we can talk about some ways to do it better. Once I'm accepting of what she really wants to say, because why does she learn to hide it? She learns to hide it because somewhere along the line, she tried to express herself and somebody said, shut up, we don't want your opinion. So it still wants to come out, so it still, weasels its way out in very passive-aggressive ways. But once that person feels relatively safe to be honest with you and that you're going to be accepting or at least listen to what they've got to say, they tend not to want to play that game with you. And again, worst case scenario, if she'd have pulled the, I don't know what you're talking about, there's something in my eye, she probably wouldn't continue to do it so loudly in front of a bunch of other people.
And it also might help with the communication with the other people. Some of those other people might either felt the way she did, and
Sure.
now they all have the understanding that it's too low. We have to have somebody to listen.
That's right. And sometimes, it gets that communication ball rolling. So, and it doesn't have to be just, the perception technique is not just for passive-aggressive behavior. It's for any time you want to avoid sticking your own foot in your mouth by telling somebody, you didn't do that, and when in reality you don't know why it happened or whether it happened. So why not check the perception first, and that way you can kind of open the door to clearer communication.